as much as we think
So
we're different, we actually overlap so much in different countries and the issues that
yes,
we face as the general population.
I think what I would say is all things in Oklahoma appear to be nonsense at this point. So the just to get us started off, do I got enough headroom there? Just to get
Yeah.
us started off in the right way. Um, about a week ago, I was saying our state superintendent, this guy, the Christian National, and that he was spinning out, like spinning around the drain. You know, I've watched a lot of people with addiction issues,
Hmm.
tumble down. And his latest fiasco is he's rewriting social studies for Oklahoma. Here's the irony. He
Cool.
was on the board that wrote the last ones that he's now saying are wrong. I have a letter of approval from him on that. And I know this doesn't sound like exciting stuff to people, but
Hmm.
here's who's helping him, a guy named Kevin Roberts from the Heritage Foundation, who just literally threatened anybody that wasn't okay with the religious takeover of America. He said, we are having a revolution in America and there won't be any violence as long as the left lets it happen.
Oh, yeah. I did hear that news bite on the Daily Show, I guess.
A very, very rapey comment.
Hmm.
Everything will be fine as long as you don't fight me. Um, and then, do you remember months ago we talked about PragerU, the fake university that makes
Hmm.
the videos?
Oh, can I just tell you something, Sean? It is
Sure.
amazing because every time that we talk about something, like it was almost 2 months ago where we did an episode on Project 2025, and
Right.
now it's hit mainstream news where even
Right.
Biden tweeted out Google Project 2025. And we have
Right.
episodes like, dude, if anyone's writing for these late night shows, they should just listen to our shit
Listen
because
to
we
us.
apparently seem to know.
what I what I keep trying to tell people is I am literally on the front lines of this. They chose Oklahoma as the attack state.
Hmm.
So Dennis Prager, the guy from PragerU, is going to be on this board that rewrites social studies here, and they are going to do American exceptionalism. And I'm not
Hmm.
sure right now that's where we are in America. We're struggling. We're struggling here. But so a whole bunch of other stuff has happened. So the St. Isidore's virtual Catholic charter school was shot down by our Supreme Court in Oklahoma. And they have a new school board that they put together to try to make all this easier. And so they've now had to meet twice to decide why they're meeting. But they didn't shut it down like they were ordered. So they were
Hmm.
ordered by the Supreme Court to revoke their license. Rescind was the word to use.
Oh, wow.
And they didn't do it.
Hmm.
And you go, why not? And they go, well, it didn't say by what time we had to do it. And you go, it's the Supreme Court. There's nowhere else to appeal to. It's
Yeah,
rescinded.
exactly. That is the final law of the land, right? In other countries as well, where if your highest court
Not
says
anymore.
stop it.
This is a common thing where people are just doing the bafangu, the stuff, and just
Do you think it is because they think that some of these things would get overturned depending on who wins in November? Is that why they're
possibly,
like
or
dragging their
I
feet?
mean, we always knew these guys wanted to go to the Supreme Court
Hmm.
because it's the Catholic Church and they want to do it all over the nation.
Hmm.
So, but they got shot down so bad here. I don't know how you would go to the Supreme Court. And states' rights versus federal government is a huge issue in the southern 12 states. So
Hmm.
if something disagrees with your philosophy, then it goes to the federal courts, or it stays in your state courts, so your good old boy system can control it. And if it moves on from there, if it gets bad enough, it goes to federal, but it takes them years to act, much
Oh,
like the jail situation here. Yeah. So it is. There's no simple, stable way. I don't know what it looks like from your perspective to watch us crash and burn, but I my cousins were originally entertained and they're no longer even entertained. Like they're concerned.
yeah, to be honest with you, I don't even click on those stories anymore until you tell me just look at this please type
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
Whereas before I used to actually be eager to look at it to see what was going on and all of that. But I think it's like that part of my brain is just atrophied. I'm like, I'll deal with it when I have to.
Well, you got to go through the cycle. What did give me some hope was that, Labour in London made good comebacks.
Hell yeah.
The right of France took a beating after everybody thought they were just going to roll in and take over the country.
Mm-hmm.
But over school lunches. Isn't that weird? The deal in France was over school lunches. Yeah.
As much as we think we're different, we actually overlap so much in different countries and the issues that we face as the general population. Mm-hmm.
Right. It really is crazy. Let me talk to you about one more thing before we get off into anything else. So I was sitting there trying to figure out kind of what this card is that our president has in his pocket that keeps him from either dropping out as recommended. But you and I both know there has to be a created story to sell ad space on cable news.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the story can be real or mostly real, depending on the news source, or barely real.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't really get rid of Joe Biden now. It's too late. But the argument is 24/7 on CNN.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to fill airtime and get ad buys and all of that too.
Right. Let me ask you this. This is the most boring presidential campaign I've ever watched. It really is on both of them. They're just awful. Because it's that boring, they are not getting the ad revenue. Because people for Donald are watching Fox News, people for Joe Biden are watching MSNBC and maybe some CNN.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just curious if this was just a made-up ploy just to sell ad revenue.
Sean, your cynical brain is kicking into gear, and even I actually wonder about those things. Like, wouldn't it be a nice comeback story if he did fuck up in the first debate and then in the next debate he kills it type thing?
Oh, I don't think Trump will debate him again. So here's my caveat. The reason I brought this up. So I read an article yesterday and I'm like, okay, I think I found the magic deal. So Taylor Swift is in Europe right now.
Mm-hmm.
She comes back to America 2 months before the election. 10 concerts. They will be sold out. There will be movies. There will be videos. And she will come out permanently against the Orange Man. That might be Joe Biden's card he's got in his pocket, because he knows that's coming.
Yeah. That would be a sound strategy, and why you can fuck up and still not drop out type thing, right?
Right. Well, here's my view on the whole deal. Is we got the Joker from Batman running on one side, and we've got a sloth running on the other side.
How dare you include the Joker and the sloth from Ice Age 2 is what I'm picturing.
Am I wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you just go, but those, I think, and it isn't that I believe this. I think strategically, she's coming back 2 months before the election for a reason. I need to see her concert map and see if she's specifically going to Michigan, Ohio.
Are they in swing states, the concerts?
That's the only thing I don't know. But with her, she does movies about her concerts, which will come out probably right before the election because they're video. They could be edited every day. Wouldn't it be amazing? Because all those guys turned on her a while ago, and the daughter nobody wants. That's the daughter everybody wants. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about your own retirement if you've got that daughter. So I really and truly, I want to talk about this down the line. So when it happens, you and I get to go, we talked about that months ago, much like Project 2025. So
we're like the harbingers of news, whether it's good or bad.
Well, what I would say on this is the incubator for the United States, Oklahoma. It used to be Alabama and Louisiana. But we've got this young guy that runs our schools that's just willing to burn everything down to kiss up to the guy that he thinks might have a chance at winning.
Mm-hmm. Is this all? We did talk about this, where this is probably just his pitch meeting for becoming the education secretary or whatever.
Whatever it is. But he loves to see himself on TV. And from a person that's done a lot of TV, I don't love to see myself on TV. I look like a grumpy old man, which is what I am.
Sean, I don't even like it when people show us our own clips of this podcast.
Right,
I'm just, leave me alone.
Right. I'm doing my best, man. Leave me alone. So my curiosity with him is it gets him on national news all the time. He's done a good job of marketing himself to Donald Trump. Donald loves these kind of lunatics. He does, because he's a con man and he's going to use them. So if he gets in, I believe the Taylor Swift effect will be the change maker in this election.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because who do you put up against her?
Nobody. Plus, think about all the young people that would come out to vote if she just mentions it. Like, that is a demographic that both sides right now are not able to captivate enough to even get them to give a fuck. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And if she in concerts pulled out pieces of that Project 2025, which is they want women, they want to repeal the 19th Amendment. When I say for people to Google it and look at it, it's 900 pages. No American's going to read that. You probably have some friends over there that will. But over here, no one's going to read it. So you've got to get a decent, shorter version that gives you the bullet points of what it actually says.
I'm pretty sure if I ask someone just read through that and give me a sheet on it, they'll do it.
Right. I think at this point, couldn't you type in AI and say, give me the bullet points?
Yeah, you can actually just upload the entire document and just say, give me a summary of this.
Right. God, that's so nice. I'm sorry for the future of your business, but that's really nice. I have to sneeze. Oh, sorry.
Bless you.
Yesterday, I worked in the yard. I've got visitors coming in this weekend, and evidently the allergens have chosen to.
Aren't the storms really bad? Like every now and then I get like a flash flood warning for the village on my...
Well, it's because we're flat. If we weren't flat, there'd be no... Yeah, I mean... And so Nichols Hills doesn't flood because they have pump systems underneath the city to move the water on. I literally feel like I'm losing my voice. Does it sound weird to you?
It does sound different, Tim.
Wow. Interesting. So what else do you want to cover today? I mean, I don't even know. There's so much junk happening. It's just crazy.
So technically we were supposed to talk about that the Oklahoman stoking fears, the headline that you shared from so many years ago that again popped up on my timeline. So
here's the thing. The Oklahoman's been bought out by somebody else. It was run by a family here called the Gaylord family. And that guy, literally, when I first came down here, I'm like, none of this stuff in this paper is real, to my mother-in-law.
No.
She goes, no, everything in there's fine. And I go, no, I literally 300 miles away is where I live, and we have the exact opposite paper. So since somebody bought it, and on the front page of the Sunday paper, which is the only paper that matters. If you're on the front page of the Sunday paper, 1 million people read your deal. And it is Oklahoma becoming or going back to its old racist roots? The level of honesty and clarity was shocking. You have to be impressed that they were willing to do that.
I know. Like, I was so surprised when I read like that brief extract on the first page.
Right.
Yeah, to get that, like, dig their heels in. I wonder how many people were just like, I'm not buying this paper or picking up this paper from next time.
Yeah. You know, there were thousands. But, if you want to do news now, the people that read that paper are over 70 or over 60. You need a new audience, and you
God
probably
damn it,
need
Sean,
to write about things.
I used to read that paper whenever it was around the pub.
You are an old English bastard when it's all said and done. You're just like the Indian version of it.
Can I tell you the funniest thing that happened today? I was about to sit down and I have this really comfy bean bag, okay? But I knew if I sit down, yeah, I know, but
can't get up after you sit down.
Yes, I was like, if I have a sit down now, that's a 3-hour commitment for just being in that position.
Right. Those were the most comfortable chairs ever. But if they rip or a dog pulls a piece of them,
oh yeah,
whoo, you are cleaning up for a year, and you'll find those in the most odd places. So yeah. That's crazy shit. God, let me think of anything else here that was really fascinating. I do like the
want to talk to you about the Daily Show piece that Jon Stewart did, where he was comparing like the election duration, where I don't know in what context he meant it, but it was something to do with like the duration of time an election campaign runs in the US, when now they're saying that 4 months is too little time to change the ticket. And he's like, do you realize other countries run the entire damn thing in 30 days to 2 months? What are you talking about that it's too late?
Do you remember the rules in England? Is it 30 days and you both have the same amount of money to spend? I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can, look, you can do it.
It's 2 months now.
Is it 2? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my God, we could do 2 elections in the time they're worried about replacing this guy. So we got this one old guy that has weird pancake makeup that makes no sense, that wears diapers and smells like he has shat in his diapers all the time, that falls asleep in court. And then we've got another guy that needs a nap every day.
No, yeah, I found it fascinating that he said that he needed all the meetings to end by 8 p.m. And I was like, good Lord.
Right. In politics, it's just hard to get people to let go of power because they're no longer important when they roll away.
Yeah.
Is this the most embarrassing election I've ever seen? Yes. Oh, when we forgot about Nutjob Kennedy with the bug that lives in his brain.
Oh, yeah.
Proud Irishman here.
Can I tell you, it feels like we're living in like a parody of reality where the headline read, I do not eat dogs, I do not eat something else, humans. And I was like, sorry, is this a presidential campaign explaining that, yeah, we are not going to consume humans, dogs, and something else, he said.
I just, and I live here. And so I'm in a state where my vote doesn't matter. It'll go 70% or more for Donald Trump. It just will. And then I have to sit there and think, these are my neighbors.
Yeah.
Right.
I love it when people that we work with and I hang out with will share like anti-immigration posts on Facebook. I'm like, did you realize that I am looking at this, right? I don't know whether they do it out of just meanness or whether they just don't know that I see this shit. And I'm like, dude, you sit down and smile at me the entire time, but this is the shit that you're sharing.
Right. What they actually are thinking. I'm pretty vocal about whatever's on my mind, so I don't really have to worry about that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's, I would say the last 5 years, COVID showed us what people are really like.
Yeah.
Which is pretty selfish. And everybody's willing to give as long as they are not in need, which is the opposite of the poorest parts of the world. They give what little they have and share it in the hopes that someone will do the same for them. We're at a crossroads here. We really are. I mean, we're just, and I don't know how this thing ends up. I believe I'm on the right side of history in Oklahoma, the stuff that you and I do, the stuff that Kit Fairchild and I do, the stuff I do at the schools. Yeah. I'm okay, but man, I don't know where this ends up, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Just keep on keeping on. Isn't that the thing that people tell me all the time?
I know. One of the things that I mentioned earlier that I think is a huge deal is this guy named Kevin Roberts, Roberts, head of the Heritage Foundation. And I know you can't just grab his clip and attach it, but you might want to put it in the comments section because people really need to hear the underlying rhetoric. Because, this is what's happened to people of color in America for 100, 200 years. The underlying rhetoric says, I won't hurt you as long as I don't feel like hurting you.
That's
And if
a
that's what you're walking around town hearing, but this is the first time it's been aimed at fellow Americans
yeah. Now there's a
that are not people
distinction.
of color. Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so we have crossed some river into this new territory. And it's always like fat old people who say this stuff.
Yeah.
And you go, dude, be careful. I'm in Oklahoma. Everybody has guns. So it isn't about guns. If you think you're going to physically assault some young person, it's not going to turn out well. Right. And so, but it's this last breath of machismo-ism, you know?
Yeah,
It's
those
crazy.
are generally the people who enter a room, but you see their tummy first, and it takes like a minute before their face shows up because it's like way back where.
Yeah. So there used to be this, or it didn't used to be this quote when I was younger, and it was, I think it was Chief Seattle. I may be wrong on the person, but I'm sure I've got the quote right. And it was, white people put trees where there were no trees, and they cut down trees where there were trees.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm witnessing. My fellow people, whiteys, what y'all doing? I know. All right, man. What do we need to do to close this baby out? What else bad news do we need to give people to close this out so they will never watch us again?
Technically, where you ended, I was going to leave it there.
On the whiteys? Well played.
That's like usually when people ask me, like, what are you doing in the evenings? And I'm like, oh, that's when the whites wake up. You need to get on call.
Right. I'm telling you. And what's really sad, Deepak, is a lot of these people are Irish.
Mm-hmm.
We came over here. The people coming across the southern border have more than we came over here with. Yeah. And in a matter of 1 to 2 generations, we think life was always great. And it just wasn't. That's just not true.
And the irony of the Irish people in America is that the Irish people in Ireland get along with me way better. Even if they're from like really educated and rich families, they're like more down to earth than I've ever seen, like the poorest Irish person I know in America.
So the term, and you and I both know what it means, but you might want to explain it to the audience, is they'll take the piss out of you quicker than anyone.
Oh, yeah. That's how you know that somebody likes you. Like, it's like my thing when I walk in and I'm like, Sean, you're here. And I'll continue doing what I was doing.
Fucker.
If I don't say that, it means I'm actually angry at you for something.
Right. Yeah, because I didn't read your last complaint in the complaint box.
Uh-huh.
All right, my friend. We're at the end of the free world.